Alright, g'day, Richard MUSGRAVE-EVANS here again, and welcome back. Now today, I'm back inside the studio. I'm fresh back from a Plein Air trip up into the northern Flinders Ranges, painting these beautiful outback rocky gorges. I'm fresh back. I wish I'd done more up there, but I've done some Plein Air work up there, and I've got heaps of video footage and stills and whatever, and just the experience of being up there. So now, what I'm going to do is, in the studio, paint a large picture from all that information. I'm going to use the big palette knives as usual, tons of paint, and a big stretch canvas. Alright, now as you can see, I've already blocked in a lot of the shapes just in dark tones. I like to work with dark first and then put the light on top. Just basically got myself some nice patterns and shapes so I can feel the composition. It's going to have water in here and nice rocky cliffs here, and then the distant hills lit up over there. I feel like I've got what I want, so now I'll start going for the biggest differences. And I feel like maybe that water could be one of the next ones to do. But also I may just start blocking in a few more shadows first before I get to that point. Alright, let's do this. Okay, now, a bit more burnt sienna and yellow ochre. Now I've just got my reference material behind me. Mainly that's just to keep it out of the shot, but also I don't want to get too influenced by it. Okay. Just going to scrape this on now. Really thin, just trying to get a coverage. It's a bit more yellow ochre and burnt sienna. Bit of an underpainting really, I guess, in dark tones, kind of a translucency about it. You can kind of see through all the colours. Back to the white, which gives it that beautiful transparent look. Now what do we got? Okay. Okay, a bit more burnt sienna and yellow ochre, and start filling in over here. What fun it is to rip into these big paintings, yes. Oh yes. Okay, now I might introduce a little bit of blue. What have we got? Let me just put a few darker streaks through it. That's a little bit of ultramarine blue added with it. Just darkening up a few areas. Using a little bit more dark into the tones. Okay, it's got something happening. Now, let me have a look at this. Alright. Make sure I've got the paint right to the edges there. Yes. A little bit more darkness in here. Okay, now a little bit of red and green and yellow ochre with the burnt sienna. You see what I'm mixing? I'll move that camera in a minute so you get a better view of that mix, but anyway, just going to stick a little bit of green in here and there. Alright, now that I've got that, I'll put in some of this water, which is definitely burnt sienna, yellow ochre, a little bit of red and green in the works. Let's just have a look at that. It's not too far off the mark. A bit more green, a bit more burnt sienna. Let's put nice and broadly, beautifully. I'll have to get some more paint out. I can see I'm going through buckets of this stuff, absolute buckets. It's just the way it is when you're painting in this style and technique. But that's part of the fun, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So just getting a good coverage of the paint how I want it. Still keeping it fairly thin, even though it's going on chunky like this. What you've got to realise is it's not crazy thick paint. I'm rubbing it fairly thin in the water. Beautiful buttery stuff. Put a little bit of blue in there, ultramarine blues. There we go with that. A bit more of the ultramarine blue just to darken it a little bit as it comes into here. Look at that, it's going on beautifully. Yeah, it just needs a little bit more blue. So you've got your yellow ochre and your burnt sienna. Now I'm using a bit of ultramarine blue in the foreground just to send it a bit darker, a little bit deeper. There we go, get that down there. Just trying to bring it right to the edges so it's all nice and neat when it's hanging on the wall. Yellow ochre, burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. Chunking it on, chunky style. Just trying to get it into these corners without making a mess of the bench right next to me. There you go, look at that. Good. Coming on nicely. Okay, a little bit more over here with a bit of viridian green. Less of the ultramarine blue and a bit more of the viridian green. Okay, now there will be a little bit of white coming into this mix because there's going to be a little bit of bank which you can't see here, a bit of a sandy bank. So I'll just paint some of the reflection for that sandy bank. A bit more white. Lighten the tone with a little bit more white. How far out do I want that bank to come? About there. Something like that. Now just blend the two together a bit so they become the one, like a reflection. Just little marks. Just leave it at that for now. A little bit of that light tone over here. Won't hurt anyone. Okay, so we're starting to get the water in. Now just here, stick some foreground rocks in, saying, what do we got? Ultramarine, blue, maybe a bit of magenta. I haven't used magenta yet today. We'll get stuck into that. Bit of burnt sienna. Kind of making a slightly greyed tone in a dusty mauve quality. Not quite as mauve as that, I just change it with a few more of the ochre colours. Just lightly sticking in some rocks here and there where you feel they look what they should be. Yellow, a bit more yellow ochre in that mix. Okay, stick it along here. A little bit more out here maybe. And of course, this big blob in the foreground here, let's get that one. There we go. Beautiful dusty mauve quality about it. It's painting up to the edge. Okay. I'll just stand back for a minute to compose the picture. Right, yep. Just put a bit of a rock there. Now I'm going to make up a little bit of a green. Let's have a look. Just on the side where the water and the rocks meet. A little bit of algae or green or something going on there, so just a little bit of green on the rocks like so. Okay. Right, so just put a little bit higher up here, I reckon. I just take that up to there. So that side's a bit higher to help the composition flow. It's all about getting the composition to flow how you want, and I feel like I want the picture to go through like so to the distant mountain here. So by raising that side, you're actually pulling your eyes across. Okay, in theory. Alright, what are we going to do? Let's have a look. First I might, actually what I'll do is just clean the knife off. I'll just get stuck into the sky next. I'll put that sky in. So that'll be ultramarine blue, maybe a bit of burnt sienna. Let's have a look. Plenty of white, bit of burnt sienna. Mix, 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 mix. Okay, so let's have a look what we've got. A bit more yellow ochre and white. I just want to lighten that tone a little bit. Probably a bit more like what I want. There we go, get that one in there like that. Okay. Okay. Now that means I go a bit darker as I go higher, a little bit more ultramarine blue, a little bit cleaner, so there's slightly less of the burnt siennas and whatever that greys it off a bit. It's a bit of a stronger colour. That's a bit too much of a jump, so I'm just taking it back with a bit more burnt sienna and white. Just going to move this out of the way. Put that over here. That's the rubbish bin, she's kind of in the way. Now I can get into this corner better, that's better. That's a little bit darker and just a little bit cleaner. Still got a bit of burnt sienna in the mix, but not as much as what was down lower. Okay, now slightly darker again. There's always a lot of mixing to do here. Getting there. Just going to have to mix up a little bit more. I didn't quite get that right, didn't quite judge that, so we'll just whip up a little bit more of a brew. Bit more blue in it. Bit more blue than that. Okay, what have we got? Yep, that's it. That's the one. That's the one I want. There we go, put that up the top there nicely. Now what I'm trying to do here, if I can reach up, I just want to clean that edge up nicely so you don't see the white edges. Let's just get that right up there. It's all about having it look nice on the wall where it's hanging. Right, can't quite reach. Now just trying to blend with random marks, just blend all those gradations together. There we go. Conscious of that blooming palette there, I do not want to be wearing any of this paint. Alright, starting to get there right. Some yellow ochres and some cads. Cad yellowy oranges and some burnt sienna. I want to make a beautiful rich tone. What you're going to have here, this is all kind of in the twilight, the evening. But the top hill is going to be lit up in the afternoon sun. So that is going to be a lot higher in key. Like so. There we go, starting to come together. Starting to come together. Very good. Ultramarine blue. Pretty and green, magenta. It's making a light, neutralish, cool tone. The with the viridian greens, the magentas and the blues. A bit more magenta than that. Just creating a few shadows there on that hill where that afternoon light is dancing around. Like so. Alright, what do we got next? Clean knife, bit of white, bit of burnt sienna. It's got to be kind of coolish tone because this part will be in the shadows. A bit more magenta and burnt sienna. Just feel it as you go. I just feel like it needs a bit more of that. Just putting some sands and whatever else right on the very edge of the water. Just the different tones of rocks and whatever. What happens is they get a little bit more regular water on them, so they're kind of stained a bit, I guess. Magenta. There's a lot of subtle colours in these rocks. Magentas and blue type tones in here, intermixed with that brown. So I'll kind of bring them together like so. Bringing the colours together. Varying the marks. Nice, nice. Just feeling the contours in the ancient seabed where it's you can see the upheavals in the earth and whatever, and the way the rocks are lying on different angles. And over here you've got a lot of strata going this way, which is a good thing. Creates a lot of interest. Just classical Flinders Ranges, where it all, the ancient seabeds have been turned up and created. It used to be all flat. It's created these mountains. It's all gone up, and all the layers of sediments have changed as they've gone up on the angle. And there you've got the sediments running at 45 degrees or whatever, all different angles. So makes a really interesting painting. Just sticking a few blue tones where the light, the cool light from the sky is reflecting in. Okay. Picking up some beautiful colours in the rocks themselves. Okay, I'll stand back and have a look. Trying to get in there. Just making a bit of a lighter tone again. Okay. Just trying to get some of those reflective qualities here now. Shimmering the water as I go down. Beautiful patterns there, like so. Yeah, what do we got here? That's just the feeling of the reflective quality of the rocks themselves. Here we go. Beautiful tones there. Just feeling the water pull that rock down to soften it. Just soften the edge of those rocks. Now, okay, let's have a look here. Clean up that edge. It's all about refining details. It's the illusion of reality. Some darker tones by digging back. Hang on. I just pulled back then through the underpainting, the shadow tones. Just taking a bit of paint off here and there. Okay, stand back and have a look. Okay, with a bit of burnt sienna, Viridian green, I'll just knock up a few darker tones. Let's have a look. Take some of that paint off. Hang on, just go a bit darker. That's better. There's some beautiful translucencies in here, translucencies, where you can see the bottom. You can see the water through the bottom. It's all out of focus. You can see the patterns of the rocks and whatever. So I might just introduce a touch of that. It looks good. It just makes you realise that there's stuff in that water. What are we up to? Just get a little bit of a foliage colour. She's pretty arid. There's a bit of a drought going on at the moment, so there's not a lot of foliage up there, but there's a little bit, so there's always something. So we'll stick that in. bit here and there. Right. Now some cooler tones. What have we got? Stand back and have a look. Just constantly working around and just adding tones and structure to the hill. Right. Okay, now. Fairly high key colour is a bit of a keynote just so we have a look. Pull through. Starting to get a few shapes and patterns happening now, which is good. Just want to paint a few of the individual rock shapes in. This is fun. Totally enjoy being, I was going to say I totally enjoy being out here painting. That's the thing. I feel like I'm back out there. That's what's so good about it, I guess. It's my way to get back out in the bush. So, if you're stuck at home, well, just get back out in the bush by painting it. Combination when you're painting these reflections between putting stuff in but also keeping it soft so it looks like a reflection, because reflections are very soft things, so you have to remember that when you're painting a reflection. Palette knife can be quite harsh, so you've got to learn ways to soften with the knife itself. Okay. Now there's a little bit of reflection from the sky itself in the water, so this will be fun. See if we can get some of that in. This is where you can really pick up on just a slight feeling of motion in the water. Got my CAD colours here, my high key colours. just a little bit of him licking around the water too, isn't he? Just dancing around. Okay, so I'm just mixing up some deeper tones now of the blue, just deeper foreground, because there's a little bit of reflection in here, but it's all very soft stuff. Sky reflection, that is. Just lighten again. Lighter version up here. This is just the ultimate. I just love painting in general. I love being out in the bush painting, but this is just making me feel like I'm back out there. And I think the more that I can feel like I am out there, the better it's going to be for my painting too. The more it's going to feel like I'm loving it, if you know what I mean. Just capturing all those ripples and that beautiful water. Pulling up some cooler tones in the shadows. Oh, what fun. Oh, what fun. Just adding a few soft touches there. Let's have a look at this. What have we got? That's a powerful colour. I think I'll knock that back a little bit with a little bit more red in the yellow mix. We want it to be powerful, but not too powerful. Just getting some highlights in the rock itself as the sun's setting on it. Pull that sky down to meet. Pull that sky. With a clean knife. A very clean knife indeed. What we're trying to do is just get rid of some of those white. There's some white over there. Wiping the knife clean each time. Whoops. Thought I was wearing the paint for a minute then. Just feeling as I'm going, feeling the contours, etc. The light, the shadow playing on the rocks. Picking out bits of highlights here and there. What a world, what a beautiful world. There we go, let's have a look. Starting to get there now. Clean knife. Absolutely clean knife. Just stick a bit of a highlight in there. Just want to emphasise and really accent that area. That beautiful bit of light coming from there. Knife on the edge. Just to get a little bit more white. Knife on the edge, just let it dance its way. Let it dance its way through the scene. Beautiful highlights. Leading right up into the picture. Okay, now pretty much got it all there now. So what I've done is I've decided to add a little bit more boldness in here. Really wanted to bring that up as one of the subjects, balancing where the light is hitting that hill. And where the light is, the evening light is striking the hill itself, I've also put the complementary colours, some really pale blues, come viridian, green and magenta, mixed with a lot of white, so it's the complementary colour of the warm tones of the sunlight. That way it's really dancing in your eyes. Also I find that if you're in these shadow areas where you don't have a lot of direct sunlight or any, you've just got the shadow, it's got much more of the local colours, the colours of the rock and whatever itself. But as soon as you get that evening effect hitting somewhere like this, you're automatically going to get the complementary colours in the shadows much stronger. So up here, I've really played up the blues in the shadows, whereas down here it's much more soft and subtle. At the same time, just to get a bit more balance, I've thrown in a little bit of pure colour. There's a bit of pure green here, a little fleck of pure red there, and that's just to make the painting dance and sing and basically accent it a little. Okay, now If you like this style of video, remember to give it a thumbs up and forward it on to your friends. But more importantly, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and press that notification bell. That way you won't miss any of these videos as I upload them. Alright, let's get the camera off and have a look. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.